So what I was saying is to understand advanced arrays, it's going to make sense just to take a quick peek at these kind of basic arrays that we were talking about earlier last week. And arrays are kind of simply organizing a multiplication question using rows of equal amounts. So in this one here, we're looking at 3 rows with 4 dots in each row. And that's just a way of visually seeing 3 times 4 equals 12. So if we count all the dots, we count 12 dots. And we know that 3 times 4 is another way of saying 3 groups of 4. Or when we're looking at an array, it could be 3 rows of 4. Okay, so now we'll scroll down to today's work. Had a quick little refresh. And here we are. So these are arrays just using bigger numbers. And we're using grid paper. So on your page, you have little grid sections, which are showing the arrays. And in our Jamboard, we're actually going to use some grid paper. So here it says, write a multiplication statement for each array. So it's the same thing, except we're just using grids. So here we would have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we have 20 boxes across the top. And we have 3 rows of that amount. So that multiplication statement is 3 times 20. And you're going to do that for B, C, and D. Now down here is where it gets a little more interesting because this is kind of the beginning of using arrays as an effective strategy for more challenging facts. Here we have 3 times 24. And what the model is showing is it's showing that someone super smart has broken up 3 times 24 into 2 different sections using friendly numbers. So they looked at the 3 times 2 tens, 3 times 20, and they looked at the 3 times 4 ones. So you have 24 all the way across your model, if you were to count the boxes all the way across the model, and you have 3 rows of 24, but it wants you to break it up. So it wants you to show, okay, this section here is showing 3 rows of 20, and this section here is showing 3 rows of 4. And if you were going to solve 3 times 24 using an array that was broken up like this, you would solve for it by solving for those 2 different parts and working with friendly numbers. So 3 times 20, well, we see a 0 behind the 2. So that means we have a multiple of 10, so we can ignore that 0. And we can do 3 times 2 equals 6. But then we have to remember we ignored 1 0. We need to put 1 0 onto our answer, so that 6 becomes 60. So really, it's 3 times 2 tens equals 6 tens. And we have a 60 there, which is good. That's nice, easy math if we're understanding. And then I'm just going to cruise over here, and you can see through my text box a little bit. It says 3 times 4, and if you know your math facts, either your 3 times tables or your 4 times tables, you know that's 12, right? You can also check your work by simply counting. That's what it's there for. But if we wanted to know the answer to 3 times 24, then we could do 60 plus 12, and that kind of math is great because we're adding something with a 0. That's always fun. That's going to give us 72, and that's going to give us our correct answer. So thinking about 3 times 24, we could think about it as 3 times 20, 3 times 4, and then add those 2 parts together. You're still going to get 3 groups of 24. And that's what you're going to do for the rest of this page. So B, C, and D. And then even in question 3, it's just asking you to fill in all the blanks. So just like in question 2, they do the first one for you. And the only difference in question 3 is they're going to have you go one more step to solve the final answer. You could also do that if you want in question 2, like I did. So for me, it just felt good to finish the question. So 3 times 20 equals 60, 3 times 4 is 12, and I finished the question. You can choose to do that as well. But in 3, it's going to ask you to do that. And that's it. Like that's your pencil and paper work for math for today. So that might be something that you zoom through in a few minutes. And if you have extra time, you can do some Prodigy questions. They're still there. or some hit the button practice with your math facts. Make sure you are using your math time even if you're finishing early, or you could go back and finish your Jamboard, which we're about to start.